Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is already flexing his power before he even gets in. A few days ago, liberals lost their minds. The exact same thing, fear mongering about the tariffs, this time on Mexico, saying, Trump's gonna tank the economy. Mexico will find other countries to do trade with. He's so stupid. You can see Trump saying this on Truth Social on January 20th as one of my first of many executive orders. I will sign necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products. The tariff will remain in effect until drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop the invasion of the country. And so that was on the 25th. This is the 27th, which was yesterday. Just had a wonderful conversation with the new president of Mexico. She's agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. Now, obviously, there's a lot of nuance involved in this. Is this going to totally stop the illegal immigration? Of course not. But this is the type of leverage that needs to be flexed by a country like the United States that has such a massive border problem, and you're dealing with a third world country right to the south of you. There's going to be significant leverage that you have over this country, and you need to utilize that. See, the liberal idea and the liberal strategy, it's not even really a strategy. It's just like, oh, we feel bad for Mexico. They tell us they're doing their part. They pinky promise they're trying to stop the illegal immigration and all of the cartels and everything like that. Well, it's very clear at this point, no, they're not. They're not doing anything. You look at Mexico and the amount of political personnel that has been assassinated by the cartels. It's a totally failed state. And so Trump realizes that, and immediately, before he even gets in, is saying, no, we're going to threaten a trade war with you because you need us more than we need you by a lot. And so if we can get even a little bit help, even if we're doing 90% of the work when it comes to stopping illegal immigration, even if you could do 10% or 20%, these are two countries that can work together to stop this. That will help us save money, and that will help alleviate the headache of the illegal immigration problem that we have. And there's no downside to it. These people, they say, oh my God, Mexico is just going to trade with other countries. They were saying the Texas's economy was going to collapse because of this trade war with Mexico. Liberals were saying it's just the fear mongering is so out of control. And then 2 days later, the Mexican government is like, yeah, we will try and do. And listen, we'll see if this actually happens. We'll see if Mexico actually does anything when it comes to stopping the illegal immigration or helping the United States with it. But at least you're utilizing the clear and obvious leverage that you have over another country, and you're not standing on this fake morality of, oh, Mexico is doing whatever they can. We don't want to threaten anything because that would be mean. Strategy: Trump threatens massive 25% tariffs to destroy their economy. The president of Mexico then retaliates with potential tariffs. And then the president of Mexico realizes 30% of her economy is exports to the U.S. and only 2% of ours is exports to Mexico. She caves within 2 days. Oh no, is that true? Is that you're telling me Trump would threaten? It's like, what are these people talking about? Why would Trump threaten a trade war with Mexico if the United States relies on Mexico more than Mexico relies on the U.S.? It's totally absurd. And so this is the leverage stuff we're talking about. This is what it means to be a leader. You have to stand up for your country. There's not this fake, oh, we feel bad for them. They say they're doing that, they pinky promise that they're going to do something about the border. No, there needs to be an actual threat against Mexico. And then if nothing happens, there needs to be an escalation in that threat, meaning if they don't do anything. Now, again, we would expect the United States, the onus would fall on them when it comes to stopping the invasion. And you do have to work with Mexico to try and make sure Mexico is, and this is where it gets complicated, but Mexico is somewhat livable so people don't constantly try and flee to the United States, although this all can be solved by just fortifying the border and not allowing people that shouldn't be into the country, and also stopping the flow of all these people. I mean, the amount of immigrants coming into the United States should be greatly, greatly reduced. Not only is it not reduced, we don't know how many people are in the country in the first place. That's a huge problem, especially for a country like the United States. That's simply unacceptable. And liberals think it's acceptable because, oh, it's a humanitarian crisis. If you just let everyone in from countries that were poorer than the United States, it would be a total mess. It just can't happen. This is not Disney World. And that's what Trump realizes, and that's why we like Trump. And it's liberals telling on themselves when they overreact when Trump does anything, and they've made tariffs this weird boogeyman when tariffs are all about leverage over under other countries and exploiting the fact that the United States is such a powerhouse that other countries need the United States more than we need them. And this is not to say, oh, go threaten a trade war with every single country. It's a strategic maneuver with certain countries, especially a country like Mexico. We share a border. We're going to need to have some influence and some understanding over what's happening in Mexico. And we would like the country to be better, so there wouldn't be all these illegals trying to get out of Mexico and fleeing to the United States. But we have to understand that when it comes to these trade wars, if we've got leverage over a country and it's worth it, then go ahead and do it. And these people, they freak out and they say that the United States economy is going to tank because of Mexico. And this lady 2 days later is like, 30% of our economy exports are from the United States. We're sorry. We're going to try and do something. Now, it's to be determined if Trump actually gets her to do anything and invest in stopping the illegal immigration. And we know that Vivek especially wants to go after the cartels, and that's, I would say, the biggest culprit. If you can get rid of the cartels in Mexico or severely limit them to a specific area, you make Mexico a much more livable place, and then you're just dealing with mainly an economy problem there, and that seems to be more solvable. But the cartels are the number one problem in Mexico, and so if that can get dealt with or at least minimalized into a specific area, you might be able to stop the immigration or people trying to come over. But the number one way to stop it is just put up a massive wall, and so every single person that is crossing that southern border. And this should surprise no one here, these numbers. I'm maybe a little bit surprised it's not more, but it's 59% are in favor of a wall, 36% oppose the idea of Trump using policies and funding a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, and it's everyone. I mean, everyone supports this outside of Democrats minus 32, but you've got the independents plus 19, and Trump can definitely swing this. One of the big problems with Trump in terms of his first term was getting funding for the wall, and people saying it's not worth it. It's kind of funny to see that and then see all the money go overseas. And what was it, 24 billion now Biden is sending to help Ukraine in that war. They're trying to get as much money as possible because they know when Trump comes in, it's going to stop. But if you're Trump, you can very easily swing this to the American people and say, listen, if you're able to stop the war in Ukraine, you can say, I stopped that war. We were sending hundreds of billions of dollars there. We just need 15 billion to build this wall and make an investment. And I think people would be 1,000% open to it, and a lot of people would want it. And hopefully the majority of people would want that, because it was this thing back in 2016 where it was like, okay, Trump wants to build it. He said Mexico would pay for it. We can debate the dynamics of Mexico paying for it or not. Liberals seem to think it's like this huge own that, oh, Trump couldn't get Mexico to pay for it. Well, yes, because, we live in the 21st century, and 100 years ago, it'd be a little bit different. If the United States was as powerful as they are and Mexico is where they are, there are 1,000% very easy ways to force Mexico to pay for that. But we live in the 21st century, and Trump wanted to be peaceful. I mean, you should like that, right? I mean, trust me, there are ways to get Mexico to pay for the wall that are very easy. Look at the United States military strength versus Mexico. There are very, very easy ways to do that. But Trump didn't do it. So when it comes to, I think Americans embracing this investment, because if you're Trump, that's what it has to be, an investment. Rather than sending money to Ukraine, send it south and build the wall and finish the wall and spend 15 or 20 billion dollars. I thought more money should have been spent on the wall. I wanted it to be huge and beautiful. It ended up being, it is what it is. As long as you get a wall up there, you get a perimeter, you secure it, and then you get the adequate personnel down there to guard it, that should seriously help. And then obviously there's going to be immigration problems in other areas, but the first and foremost, let's fortify that and make the southern border a strength of U.S. immigration policy, not the number one biggest weakness to where it's wide open. And we see clip after clip after clip, mainly in 2021 and 2022 when it was really, really bad, where they will lift up with like forklifts. I've seen these clips. They'll lift up the fencing because a lot of the wall isn't even finished and it's just this weird barbed wire fencing. They'll lift it up with like a forklift and people just go right under. And that happened in 2021 and 2022. Now, liberals did help kind of stop it a little bit in 2023 and 2024. That was mainly because of the election. They didn't want to do that. They had to do it because they knew the only way they were going to stay in power is if they did some phony attempt. And that's why Biden came out and said, we got to fortify it, and started pushing policies to fix the immigration situation because of the amount of illegals that came across. By the way, the numbers that they say, whether it's 5 million or 11 million, I can pretty much guarantee you that's totally false, because that administration has lied about everything. They lied about jobs. They've lied about real wages. They've lied about crime. They changed crime on how it was reported to make it seem like there was less crime under liberal leadership. Why would there be less crime under liberal leadership? Look at how they treat the big cities. In certain cities, this is a liberal policy. You're allowed to steal. They allow you to steal a certain amount because their police force is stretched thin. And that's another thing where they're hostile towards police. Many liberals are, and they think they're all racist, and so that's another issue. But why would there be less crime with liberals in charge? If anything, there'd be way more, and liberals should want there to be way more because they think people have been disenfranchised and they should be allowed to just take whatever they want in the United States because they think our country is racist. That's the crux of this all. And then they act like crime is down. Why would crime be down? You hate the police. Wouldn't you want crime to be up? Like, these people just make no sense at all. But you can see this is really supported, and Trump really needs to make a big investment, end the war with Russia, Ukraine, divert the funds that would be going to the war, give the wall $20 billion, $30 billion, finish it, secure it, and also have the proper personnel to defend it. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Links to that's always in the description.